Asking if I could make a video about what you need for RC boating, like what to pick up as spares, what you need like maintenance wise. So I'm gonna try to cover that in this video. I'm also gonna try to cover some like if you're a boat builder, some things you may need, or if you're wanting to advance in the hobby. So you just get your boat, you're excited, you're thinking, what do I need to run my boat? Really, if you get a ready to run boat, to be quite honest with you, just to get it on the water, all you need is some marine grease. Quicksilver, Dynamite marine grease, this high performance marine grease. It all works good. Red and tacky, any type of grease. Actually, some of my boats, I actually try to put grease and a couple drops of oil in my drive line for my flex cable. So marine grease for your flex cable, stub shaft, it's an absolute must, and you must do it every time you take your boat out. A medicine syringe will make greasing your boat much easier and a little less messy. You know, it's actually a time saver. You'll definitely need some old rags, and when you spool it up, don't let the grease spool all over your shirt, because it will. Blue Loctite. You definitely gonna need some blue Loctite. You could pretty much use blue for everything, you know, within the hobby. They do have red and green retaining permanent Loctites. Blue should do it, you know, with your new boat. Just make sure your grub screws are Loctited. The coupler grub screws are Loctited in. Motor head screws, anything threaded into aluminum and stainless steel. Little dab of blue Loctite goes a long way, you know. I actually use it for prop nuts, especially when I'm running some of my favorite props and I don't want that nut to back off. A little dab of blue Loctite will definitely save yourself 30 or 40 bucks on an upgrade prop. Depending on what type of boat, what kind of hatch goes on your boat, you're going to need hatch tape to keep water out of your boat. This is hockey tape, and this is like Dynamite Horizon hobby tape. Works great, okay? Duct tape, anything to keep water out, okay? So let's talk about like high wear parts and parts that break, okay? So one of the most common break points that I found on ready to run boats is the drive dog, okay? Not on all ready to run boats, but a lot of them, the drive dog likes to let loose. They use a brass and the threads for the grub screw strip out, and the drive dog spinning on the shaft, you know. So another common break is the dog actually breaking off the drive dog, what holds the prop in place. So this is a good thing to have around. All right, they come in different lengths, diameters, sizes, and shapes. You can get forward and aft tapers, so make sure you get the right one or a replacement OEM part. Another thing that you may want to have around is the nut that holds the prop on, okay? A nylon locking nut like this or like this, they work great. You can use 2 of them on your shaft to prevent them from backing off and losing your prop. You also have a bullet nut. I think these are just for looks. I mean, I've run them. I don't see any difference in speed or performance handling with this. And if you do use a bullet nut, make sure you use your blue Loctite to Loctite it on every time you put it on your stub shaft. Okay, so the best, well, and you can only get it in 3/16 size as far as I know, is a Zubber nut. These are the best nuts for keeping your prop on. They're an investment. 30, 40 bucks you spend on an upgrade prop. You want to make sure it stays on the freaking boat, you know? So, Zubber nuts. Or a locking, like they have these real thin, like jam nuts that you could put on with the nylon locking nuts, like a jam nut. That helps out. All right. Servo horns, another thing that breaks a lot on ready to run boats. So you can keep one of these in your field box. If you break it while you're running the boat, you bring it in, change your servo horn out, boom, you're ready to go. They also have like upgraded options, that CNC, aluminum, you know, different sizes and shapes. So, like, again, make sure you get the right one. Make sure the teeth count is correct and matches the servo that you're going to be using. Okay. Flex cable. Yeah, flex cables. Flex cables usually either break at the connection point. They just twist in half like this. Okay, they'll twist in half like that. They'll break at the connection, or the end will actually wear out. The coupler that you use will compress a cable and prematurely wear the cable out. That usually happens if you're using a cheap, low quality collet. Okay, so collet's a good upgrade part, or have the upgrade collet laying around. If your stock collet lets loose, you have one. Okay, like I said, they sell different sizes, shapes, motor and flex cable in size. So make sure you get the right cable, stub shaft. Make sure you get the right length, stub shaft, diameter. Yeah. So another thing that actually, it don't happen very often, but they don't really dry rot. I've gotten holes in them. I couldn't track down a leak. Come to find out, it was my bellow had a hole. So that's something to maybe think about keeping around the shop. So some boats actually use these brass bushings, bearings, okay, for the flex cable to ride in, like the 42, the 48, the 36 Sonic Wake. So that's a high wear part. That's something that you may want to have around. These sleeve bearings, they get Loctited in your strut barrel. Those are high wear. I would have some of those laying around. And the Teflon liners. Okay, actually you want to have Teflon liners for all your boats. You know, if you run liners, have extra. It is a wearable item. It's a replaceable item. I keep flex cables, different sizes and shapes for all my boats. I got a bunch. Yeah. Since you're dealing with water, we're in boats. We're dealing with electrical brass connectors. It's good to have extra connectors. Motor connector, motor ESC connection, and battery connections. Water gets on it, it tarnishes it. You guys are wondering why you have hot wires, hot bullets. Then it may be tarnished, you know, not making good connections. So it's always good to have new connectors laying around, and adapters like loops if you're running a series connection, or you just want to run a single battery. Good to have a loop, you know what I mean? So while we're on the topic of waterproofing, like I'm about to take this receiver out and put this balloon on it to waterproof it. Okay, just put the balloon right over the receiver, zip tie the end of the balloon, boom, 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 waterproof. If you that's the cheap way to do it. If you want to spend the money and you're into hobby, might as well pick up a can of Corrosion X. I've had this can for about 1.5 years now. It just takes a little zets, boom, just a little bit in your receiver, on your servo. It works good on motor bearings if you have loud motor bearings from water being in your boat. Use Corrosion X before the bearings get loud, and you won't have loud bearings. It works great, but you got to do it beforehand, okay? Double side tape is a good thing to have. Velcro is a good thing to have if you own a boat. A lot of boats use Velcro to hold batteries down. Custom boats, battery straps, you know, they do break, they do wear out. Good thing to have around. And a receiver for your transmitter. You know, you get water, you sink your boat, you didn't waterproof it, or your waterproofing didn't hold up. It's good to have extra receivers. It's good to have servo cat packs when your receiver gets wet. A lot of times it'll like create a glitch in your servo. So RX or servo cat packs, glitch buster, that's what it's called. Glitch busters come in handy in the boating hobby. I have a lot of boats that have glitchy servos, so I have a few of these glitch busters. We deal with water, so it's good to have an extra servo laying around, whether it's a stock servo or upgraded. They do go out because of water. Now, if your servo just quits working, it could be the bearing got locked up from corrosion, extended exposure to water, the bearing locked up on the motor or in the gears, or you could have got water in it, so you can crack it open, let it dry out. A lot of times you'll get it back to life, you know. So this is an invaluable tool to have, whether you're boating or in the RC hobby period. A LiPo battery capacity checker. You know, batteries are an investment. They're an investment, so you want to try to take care of them. You don't want to over discharge them. You want to storage charge them. So a capacity checker, it's an asset to your arsenal of tools for the hobby. Okay, a lot of boats use programming boxes, so you need a program box for like every freaking type of ESC you have, Castle links, Bluetooth adapters. If you're really getting into the hobby, get yourself an upgrade prop, or a couple upgrade props, a dozen upgrade props. Not every prop you get for your boat's going to be perfect for that boat, so it's nice to have a few different boats, a few different props. Another thing that I use like all the time is my ruler. Okay, like setting up my boat, setting up my trim tabs, my strut, a straight edge, an adjustable ruler, a ride height gauge if you're a hydroplane guy, a caliper, digital caliper. Like if you need to order batteries, you may need to measure your battery compartment, measure existing batteries, measure props. I mean, it's an invaluable tool. I use it dozens of times every single day. A tape measure comes in handy. A tool to get your props off, that's a must. I like this guy right here. I got different sockets. I color code them along with my wrenches. I color code those. This guy here works for some 3/16 props, but I would much rather use this guy right here. If you get into the hobby, a good transmitter, always nice to have something that holds more than one model. And if you're going to start getting props, you might as well pick up a prop balancer. This is a Dubro. This is a just an offshore electric generic magnetic balancer. Both of them have their positives and negatives. I prefer this over this. This thing right here is so tedious. The tips of the pin have to be perfect. This one, you just put some powdered graphite on the wheels here, and it works great. You know what I'm saying? So foam is something that I like to use a lot. This is preschooler building blocks. I put them on my table saw and I stripped them out. They were like 2x4 size. I use them for my batteries. You know, I use them as like a battery stop. I use them as jam foam. Like if I'm just using Velcro on my batteries, I'll actually put this on top of the battery, jam it in there so my batteries don't go anywhere. You can use like a motor, like when you get a brand new Leopard motor or something, they come with this like as packaging. These work pretty good for jam foam, or you know, foam to keep your batteries in place. You just kind of cut it in half, boom, boom, boom. A scale, if you're a boat builder, scales come in handy. Like you don't want to build a freaking, like the Titanic, like this super heavy boat. You want to try to keep it light. So I use my scales just about as much as I use my caliper. You know what I'm saying? I also use this level box quite a bit, setting up several of my boats, getting the bottom of my boats true. A level box, it's been a lifesaver. Like I didn't have one for about 4 or 5 years in the hobby. You know, I just did stuff by eye. But ever since I had this, I think my speeds, like working on the bottoms of my boats and setting up my boats with exact a degree on my stinger or strut, you know, it's been an asset. It really has. The level box. You can get good ones, bad ones, you know, you can get whatever. So yeah, that's basically like the stuff on this table is stuff I use all the time. Of course, you're gonna need some good tools. MIP's the best. I use Integy and Dynamite because I'm a cheap ass. But you need hobby knives, files. You need files and lots of freaking sandpaper. If you're a boat guy, files like sharpening up your rudder, your turn fin, different grit, sandpapers, polishes like turtle waxes, compound waxes come in handy. If you're new in the hobby, you know, you might want to pick up some type of sealant clear silicone. Epoxies, I use several different epoxies, 15-minute, 30-minute Bob Smith. I have the Venom Carbon. I have, 2 or 3 different types of 2-in-1 epoxies. That stuff right there is actually pretty good. I just used it for the first time on this boat. I'll let you know how strong it is, but I like the way it carries itself. That Scotchwell DP420. A soldering station, if you're getting into the hobby or you're in the hobby, a good soldering station is a lifesaver. Drill, a blowtorch. If you got a little blowtorch for getting, like, heating up grub screws. Oh yeah, grub screws. That's another thing. That's another thing that you may want to have on hand. Like I have the most common extra grub screws here, most common sizes, couplers for every freaking size you can imagine here. So this is a look at, like, all my little terminal parts here, like cooling line consolidators, holders, hatch locks, extra bellows, as you guys can see here. I actually save all my little brass cutoffs because they do come in handy for spacers sometimes. Water pickups, water exits is a good thing to have. T-splitters, Y-splitters there. Like steering connector rods and connectors, good to have. Sleeve bearings. This is all my prop nuts and extra drive dogs. Extra bushings, bearings. If I have a flex cable that broke and it broke short on the stub shaft, I heat my stub shafts up and I keep them. I reuse them. You know what I'm saying? I actually use JB Weld to make that connection. Okay. So this is just a little look at my little terminal box here. I mean, nothing special or spectacular. Just things that I use all the time. Okay. Extra motors. If you like running boats, it's fun testing different KV motors, different size motors in any particular boat. So it's actually really nice to have upgrade motors or extra motors laying around. You burn one up, you got to replace. So it's like small, but it's everything I need. You know what I'm saying? In the comments, if I missed anything that you guys think I should have added, by all means, drop it in the comments. I know some of the new guys will be much appreciated. So I appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you next time. Big B with Ironclad RC.